there, and all of this, by the way, shouldn't be taken in a literal level. None of these things were in the material sense happening. We can talk about the Vilna Gaon's opinion, and it predates the Vilna Gaon by a number of years. There were two great Kabbalists that had a debate about whether the Tzimtzum was literally happening or it was figuratively happening. But let's talk about what happens after this Tzimtzum. So there is a Rishima, there are these kind of residual energy, but they are not illuminated in any real sense yet. And in the infinite light that kind of now encircles, metaphorically, this void, now descends into, where does it descend till? If there's a circle, does it descend? It doesn't go all the way through, because then it would somehow repudiate the whole emptiness, and it would just flood the vacuum. So it goes almost to the bottom. What does that mean to you?
You're referring to the infinite light?
To the kav, not going all the way. How far down does it go? Does it go halfway into this empty void? Does it go almost down to the other side? Or it doesn't have to. It could go halfway down. That's where Asiya would be on the map.
What's a kav?
The kav is the ray of light. We're going to make pictures.
Okay, to understand what the kav is, we'll just go back a little to the Rishimu, to what we've just mentioned till now, to understand what the kav is accomplishing in regards to the Rishimu. The Rishimu is considered like a closed seal that is residue from before the Tzimtzum, before the removal of the light, and then comes a kav, which is a new light, a new revelation. As Kabbalah brings it, Chazar v'Heyer, he began again shining. Now, what is the Rishimu itself? It's interesting. There's a few points here that I'll mention to understand how Rishimu relates to the chain of creation. The Rishimu is compared to a nucleus, which is a nucleus that contains everything that comes later. That's like a beginning of later, but it's not even considered a beginning because it's a nucleus. It's completely removed. It's not like we say in Hebrew, it's called klal uprat, a general principle and individual principle. You have a general thing, then you have details. So the details are part of the general, and the general consists of details. When we say nucleus, it is completely removed from all the details. Rishimu, in comparison to the chain of the creation that follows, is completely removed from there. So we cannot even consider that this is the beginning of something. But in a very remote way, this marks the beginning of the vessels that begin in the later worlds. That's one example for Rishimu. Another example for Rishimu is like a dot. It doesn't even have a shape yet. It is a dot that is like something that fell out from before the Tzimtzum, and there is no direction yet. There is no beginning, and there is no. It's not a source. Doesn't serve as a source of something. So therefore, basically, Rishimu is still removed from the chain of creation. Where is there a relationship to creation when there's a revelation? Revelation shows a giving. There's a sharing. There's a drawing down. And the kav is referred to as kav because the kav means a line. What does it mean, a line? A vertical line means there's a beginning and an end, a top and a bottom. The kav is the first stage in which there was a creation, an establishment of a higher and a lower. Because till then there's no higher, there's no lower, there's no dimensions. Kav is accomplishing, in a spiritual sense, that there should be a higher and a lower. What does it mean, higher and lower? What is closer to godly revelation is considered higher. What is further is considered lower. So it's basically not even space, physical space, or time, or anything like that, because there's no time or space on that level, even on that spiritual level. So it is basically accomplishing there should be worlds, would it be top and the bottom of a world? There should be vessels and revelations. So Kav is a multi-functional process. It is accomplishing a lot of different things. It is accomplishing to connect vessels and revelations together, revelations in the vessels. It is measuring. It's like a measuring stick. It's considered in the Zohar. Measuring how much revelation can come into into a certain vessel. It also measures the worlds. Everything is, Kav is really accomplishing a lot in regards to structure of worlds. So this is basically what Kav begins the process of the chain of creation.
Not now, not now. You write the question and pass it to us. How's that?
Okay.
So Kav is a measuring stick, and what is the connection with the Esser Spheros and the Kav? Are there 10 spheros?
A very delicate thing in regards to this question. The Kav has in itself two parts. It has a part that's called Pnimis HaKav, which is more connected with the infinite revelation from before the Tzimtzum. It has Chetzenis HaKav, the external part of the Kav, that relates to the lower worlds. On the level of Pnimis HaKav, the Esser Spheres, the 10 attributes, are on a very high level. They are on a level as they are from before the Tzimtzum, which they do not stand out as separate entities. But when they relate to the lower world, which is the external part of the Kav, that part of the Kav, I think, relates to more in the individual details of the attributes. So Kav itself has two phases. There's the Pnimius and Chetzenius, the higher level and the lower level. And actually that bridges together the infinite revelation from before the Tzimtzum with the chain of creation that follows.
And when do we start talking about the Olamos? We have Igulim and Yosher. We have two separate sets of frameworks. One is within the Makam Apanui, within this empty space, there starts to form a place that is circular. Now, there's a Yerushalmi, the Talmud Yerushalmi says that until Adam, everything was basically circles. And Adam came and started making straight lines, linear order. In other words, in the natural world, everything is a circle. I mean, maybe not a perfect circle, but a sphere of some sort. The planets, the sun, the stars, the cells. Everything is kind of round, going around. And it suggested that the idea of these olamot, these metaphoric description of igulim, of these spheric, I don't know what the word is, round, that these universes in this round element versus the olamos of Yosher, meaning this more linear element, represents nature versus humanity. If there is a dichotomy between nature, the circle, and humanity, the line. When does that start? What's the relationship between the Rishimu, the Kav, and the formation of the Igulim and the Yosher? Where does that begin to play out in terms of the Rishimu and the Kav? Asking some hard questions.
Kav is basically Kav is considered the light, the revelation. Rishimu represents the vessels. The revelation, in comparison to the vessels, considered the igulim, circles. But more in particular, more specifically, it is an Elam HaTeil that we call that world igulim, circles. Because in the same sense that a circle does not have an end or beginning and it does not settle, it's higher than limitation. You start, for example, you take a song. A song in Hebrew is called a shir. Shir means a ring. In the same sense that a song, when you start singing the song, a ring.
Oh, ring.
A ring. So when when a person starts singing a song,
The song never ends.
sings it, and then another time, it's like it just goes on. There's no sometimes a broken record. It's without limitation, because it is basically there's no beginning, there's no end. There is a world that is called the world of chaos, and that world is called Elam Hateu. That world, the revelations were higher than what the vessels can carry, and that's why that world collapsed. That world, in a spiritual sense, not in a physical sense. I usually tell the story that it was once a student that came to a certain congregation, and he gave over a discourse, and it was in the years that they still were giving over discourses instead of giving over a talk, which is an easier topic to discuss. And those people and the people in the shul had no idea what it meant, and he's speaking about the vessels that broke in that world. So the shamash, the gabbai, the one that was in charge in shul, says, "Listen, guys, he's coming from yeshiva, and the dishes in yeshiva broke, and he's there. He's coming to fundraise." So this is basically what his appeal is about. So from then on, they stopped already giving over these deep discourses. Hasidus explains that Elam Hateu, the world of chaos, is considered igulim. It was not that level, that revelation was higher than being able to settle down in a vessel, like a circle that cannot settle down in a solid way. On the other hand, the Elam Hatikon, the world of correction, literally what it means, was basically a world that the light can settle down and they can coexist with the other attributes. So that's where we find more about Igulim and Yesher in comparison to these two worlds. But basically it's on every level. Igulim means makif, something that hovers from the top, and Yesher means something that settles down. For example, in every person, in their character traits, there are basically different things in a person, different character traits. Some of them reflect Yesher, straight, solid, settled down, enclosed in the person, and then the person has certain potentials in their soul, character traits that hover over them. For example, will is something that hovers over them. There's no vessel in the body, any part of the body which is a vessel for will. It is something that encompasses the person as a whole. As Chassidus explains, the example for that is, for example, if a person wants to think about something, he'll think. He knows his mind is there, his intellect is there, and he'll think. The brain is there, and it'll process. When there's emotions, it'll be in the heart. When a person wants something, immediately the message travels. When a person wants to walk somewhere, immediately the person will pick up with their feet, they'll start walking. The reason for that is because the will does not have a vessel where it's settled when there's a need time for processing. But it electrifies the person as a whole, because it encompasses the person as a whole. That is considered igulim. It's considered a makif. It encompasses the whole person as a whole. So therefore, this is basically as it is in the person. The same thing is also in worlds. The higher the worlds, we could say, the more they are prone and reflect igulim, which is like they're more removed from the lower worlds. But basically what happens here practically is that after the kaf comes ak, which is considered the blueprint of the world. It is the thought in which the Almighty reviews the whole chain of creation. In the Talmud it's called Seker Kol Haderes, he reviews all the generations. It is basically, Adam, Ak is an abbreviation of two words, Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is a